C-S-A-C-M, 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 Yetch-cow hi, yetch-cow hi, yetch-cow hi, yetch-cow hi.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Spirit Drum. We have a very special episode planned for this evening. Coyote, would you like to tell us who our guest is tonight, or do you want me to do that?
Well, I tell you what, I know her name is Loriana, but the rest of it escapes me because it's very long. And and I just got the bio this morning. So
That's right. That's right.
But no, we're in. I tell you, and what I did see is just amazing stuff, and I'm really looking forward to this. And so it's always great to be here on the Spirit Drum, and for everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. And kick back, because this is one brave, tough lady here we're going to talk to tonight. And so, Sharla, take it away. Let's get this ball rolling.
There's
Absolutely.
Going to be a quiz at the end.
There's going to be what?
A quiz at the end.
There is.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm teasing him.
So pay attention. Well, Loriana, thank you so much. We are so excited to have you on. An old high school friend. I don't mean old as in we're old, because of course we're not. But a high school friend that I reconnected with on Facebook many years ago. And I've been following your journey ever since. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Loriana, to those of the viewers that don't know about you. Where did you get your start in journalism?
Well, I started probably almost out of high school. I went to work actually right out of high school for IBM and realized that was too much tech for me, as much as it was a great company. And I ended up the year after that, working at CNN.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's where I got my start. And I decided that I was doing so much. I didn't like doing all the work for everybody and not being out there. And I'm writing the stories, I'm doing the work, I'm gathering the facts, doing some of the interviews to gather all the information. And I thought, you know what, I should get credit and I should get paid more to do some of this work. And I really loved it. So I want to say about 20, the age of 20, I started, maybe even 19, I started working at CNN as an intern. And I knew that I wanted to, at that day, I was majoring in business, international business,
right,
and a minor in Spanish. And I said, I have to work here and I want to really start growing as a journalist. And I worked there and I started just really laying the foundation. I'm very driven. As you know from high school, I'm just a very driven person.
Very much so.
So you set a goal, and so I started to lay the foundation of how I was going to climb the ladder. And I remember talking to the president of CNN, and I'd bring him tapes, and I'd get on the set and practice. And he'd say, "You have to go start in Beaumont." I'm like, "Listen, I don't even know where Beaumont is. I'm going to start here on CNN, and it's going to happen." And long story short, I made friends with some amazing makeup artists who would help me with my image, and then I had people help me with my writing, and I took a lot of journalism classes. And within a matter of 2 years, I kept saying, "You're going to need me one day." Someone didn't make it, and they said, "Go get your jacket." And I got my big break. And after that, I got coached, and really it launched my career. I wasn't like a full-time CNN or full-time news anchor immediately, but I was able to really, break a ceiling at such a young age and be the youngest person to anchor at CNN.
Wow, that is amazing. It doesn't surprise me, but it is amazing because you were always very driven, always very motivated. And that's one of the things that I loved most about you, because you weren't somebody who waffled back and forth between decisions. Once you had your mind made up, you were on that path. And
it was the Cuban Italian in me. They said, "You have to start Beaumont." I'm like, "I don't know where Beaumont is." My parents were in the midst of a divorce. I'm like, "I have to start here in Atlanta. So we're going to make it happen." And I kept bringing them tapes, and I would practice, and they kept saying, "We can't have any more tapes." So I would stalk them and bring them more. Finally, they said, "Go get your jacket." And I'm like, "I knew it. I knew you would need me." And I was a pain in the neck, but sometimes you have to be pushy. And I think when you're pushy, and that drive and that personality is what helped me later on fight cancer and survive.
Absolutely. So where is Beaumont? After all.
And I did end up anchoring in Texas. I spent probably more than 10 years, but I was in Austin, for about 10 years, I think. And I was also in Dallas as a news anchor, never in Beaumont, but I don't think I've ever been there, but I hear it's beautiful.
That's fantastic. So fast forward, you are definitely winning in the handsome husband department. You meet your husband, Caesar, and what happens next?
So having worked in the industry, I belong to the Hispanic Journalists Association, and I was always like a sponge that I wanted to learn and grow. And I would go to the National Association of Hispanic Journalists convention, and there was a convention. My husband is Black Cuban, and so he belongs to the Hispanic and Black Journalists Association. And I went to the convention, he went to the convention, and we met. And I was so intrigued by him, and we hit it off. And eventually, over time, we fell in love and got married. So I didn't get to work in his newsroom, but I'm like, hey, at least I get you for life.
Yeah, that's a nice trade-off.
It is. I would definitely take that any day.
And then, so your journey in your quest to become a mother and parents began.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So after we got married, and something I talk about when we get to the cancer portion is that, when you're a reporter and you have to be driven. And for me, telling me no for anything, whether it was anchoring at CNN or being able to make a marriage work across country. My husband, we lived across country and commuted and had a relationship flying back and forth because neither one of us wanted to give up our careers.
Amazing.
But we were madly in love. And the same went to like, hey, I'm getting older. My eggs are getting older. We wanted to have a baby. And I'm like, let's do this across the country. And so then we realized we needed to turn to IVF. And it's something that I talked about when I was on the air. And I was always, throughout my career, I was very transparent about any issues I went through, because I always felt like if I could share a challenge I was facing and inspire someone else to talk about it and help someone, I was willing to open my heart up and share a struggle of my own. We went through IVF. We had our amazing son, Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, and I'm glad we named him the angel Gabriel because he certainly has been my angel since he was born. But it was a struggle. We had him literally had a baby across the country. My husband flew in, stayed for about a month, and then we commuted back and forth and back and forth.
Amazing.
While I held down a morning, I went from the evening show to mornings to be able to be home with my son, with our son. And I would get up at 1:45 in the morning, have a nanny come because my husband was living in Bethesda, working at NBC Sports. And the nanny would come. I would leave the house at 3, be at the station by 3:30, be on the air by 4:30, stay till 12:30 or 1. Then go back to being a parent and also juggling phone calls for sources and stories. And really, I never slept. I loved what I was doing. I was a news anchor, transformational health coach on the air, a medical fitness reporter. But somehow I thought that we were going to we defied the odds for a long time by living across the country, having our baby, fulfilling our dreams of becoming parents. But then it all came to a screeching halt. When our son was 2 years old, almost 2.
So you're meeting your goals, you're breaking glass ceilings, you are burning the candle at both ends. Life is good. You're making it work. And then you begin another journey to have a second child.
Yes. So as if, like, hey, let's see if we could squeeze that in. I'm tired. Let's go for another baby and see how we
can do this
across the country and do this. It sounds crazy, but for me, no is never an answer. Everything is like, yes, it can happen. Don't tell me no. And so, yes, I was tired. I was so tired, but I was still helping everyone else transform their lives. I was stressed out. Chronic stress, we know, is not good for the body. I was sleep deprived. All my co-anchors had a spouse living with them they'd go to bed at 7 and hand the child over and get up at 1:45. For me, I was acting as a single parent, although I had all this amazing support from my husband. And so my son was colicky, would go to bed at midnight. I'm get up at 1:45 in the morning, and I was just exhausted. And I just figured I needed to sleep. It was a very challenging time, but I was also at the top of my career. I loved my job. I was working at Fox 7 in Austin, Texas, which is amazing company, amazing community. And I was really having my dream job in my dream city and doing national health stories. So it's like people would say, you need to slow down. I'd say, you know what? I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I was almost dead for the way I was living my life in so many ways.
You know, which is so interesting because so many of us live our lives like that constantly with technology, with our jobs. I was doing a lot of travel several years ago, and I felt like I was navigating airports, and the cat just jumped on the desk. I was navigating airports and moving through hotels left and right, and I got to a point where I had to stop because I felt like, you know, the circus act when they spin the plates on the nails, you start at the front, you start spinning that plate, you go to the next one, and I felt like I was a professional plate spinner. I was going from one to the other. By the time I got to the end, this one was wobbling and I have to run back and respin that one. And it almost felt like a roller coaster that I just couldn't get off.
Like a hamster on a wheel, and you can't,
Yes.
You're climbing the ladder and your things are great. And you're like, why stop now? But yet your body has these warning signs. And now when I travel and speak, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
Now when I travel and speak, that I always tell people, you know, how many times you're in the car when that warning light goes off and you're like, you just kind of have this sinking feeling. It's like the oil light's on or check engine, whatever it is. And then it flickers and then the light goes out and you're like, whew.
Missed that one.
Going to my project or my job or whatever's so important, and then you think that the problem went away. The problem is it's actually festering.
Yes.
And so many of us miss those warning signs because we're on the high of our job or wherever we are in life, or we don't feel like we can stop, or we feel like our colleagues need us, or we're worried about losing our jobs. Whatever it is, we ignore that warning light in our car, like we ignore the warning lights in our body, and there's chronic illness that's festering, and we're laying the foundation and the seeds for illness through the inflammation that it's causing, because chronic stress causes inflammation in the body, and inflammation is a fertilizer for cancer. But you know, when you're, like you said, when the plates were spinning for you, the last thing you're thinking about is, how is this impacting my body?
It's illness is inconvenient. So, you know, you almost put off every possible warning sign because you can't manage that too. I'll deal with this later. I'm just going to keep going. If I keep going, things will be fine. And that's what we convince ourselves of. So you're continuing to go. You're not feeling well. You're certainly exhausted, fatigued. And now you're going through IVF for your second child.
Okay, you know what? You guys are so much alike. Sharla, I mean, I'm just thinking, oh my God, that's Sharla. You know, because Sharla and I have been working together for a couple of years now, and it's like, you know, and I know what she was going through, and we've had discussions about it, and I'm just watching both of you. You're so much alike, and I'm watching you, Loriana. I'm like, you guys had to have been separated at birth or something like that because you're so much alike. You're both so tough, and you're both so smart, and you both break, like I said, the glass ceilings and things like that, and it's really amazing. Now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You're watching The Spirit Drum, and we'll be right back.
Akashic Awareness is a metaphysical healing and learning center unlike any other. A large selection of crystals, gems, and minerals greet you as you walk in the door, but from that point onward, the journey is yours. They offer a great selection of metaphysical tools, state-of-the-art holistic healing, with classes and lectures scheduled throughout the month. Akashic Awareness is open Tuesday through Saturday, noon until 6:30, 7 on Friday and Saturday. Visit their website for a current calendar of their almost daily special events and guests at akashicawareness.com. And while you are there, be sure to join their email list to stay current. Akashic Awareness, 328 Sycamore Street, Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
everybody.
Hey, we're back, and we want to recognize some people who are watching us tonight. Darren and Carol and Keith. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I am terribly blind with the chat room tonight, so but yeah, thank you guys so much, and everybody else that's listening out there and watching. Really appreciate it, and we appreciate your support, and we thank you very much. So, Sharla, so we've established that you and Loriana are both very much alike. So, and it's like, okay, so you went to high school together, and you've got all these similarities. Now I'm seeing what Loriana's talking about here about these seeds of illness, basically. And Laura, you guys, I'm completely opposite from both. That's why Cheryl and I get along so well, because we're opposites. And because she's very tech, and she's all, she's and I'm like, okay,
That's how my husband is, right?
Yeah, and that's what makes it work, and so it's great, and that's why we have such a good working relationship. But so you start. Okay, now we started this part now about how our thinking, how our feelings, how our actions affect our body. And I think this is very interesting. I mean, you talk about wanting to let people, like this, during this time I've had issues with anxiety and things like that. And I have off and on over my life. But, and I can see that I have to watch that kind of stuff because it will affect my body as well. So here all this stuff's going on, Loriana. So when did you finally say, whoa, this is messed up. I got to make some changes.
Well, I had the shock of my life when I was diagnosed with AML leukemia. But I will say that prior to being diagnosed, 2 oncologists told me, not you, you're the fitness guru. You're just tired. Your white counts may be off. And I always tell people, always get a second opinion, even when you like the first. So if you walk out of a doctor appointment, and they say, you don't have cancer, or you don't have this. Yes. Okay. Celebrate, but go get another opinion. And some people say, well, that might be pessimistic. No, it's not. Listen to your body and go get it checked out. I didn't listen to the warning signs. I loved what they said. I don't have cancer. Amen. I'm going to have this baby. And it turns out that a fertility doctor, not an oncologist, my fertility doctor, when I became violently ill, throwing up, and he ran a blood test and said, you can't have a baby. You have cancer. AML leukemia is acute myeloid leukemia. No cure, no official cure. And at the time, the treatment had not changed in 40 years. So my world flipped upside down. And even then, I was like, don't tell me no. It's just like my motto. I was going to defy the odds. And I had no idea in all my years of medical reporting that with AML leukemia, that there's actually an actual cancer that hasn't had any advancements in 40 years, at least back then. So I was shocked as a reporter. I felt like I had failed viewers, and I felt like I had failed as a journalist. And so at the time, I was like, this story's bigger than me. I have to share it with the world, because they told me how I got the name of my nonprofit that now helps cancer patients is they said, put your armor on, say goodbye to your son, get on a plane. We have a bed waiting for you at Johns Hopkins. You don't have time to waste. And my husband took our son to Atlanta, handed him over in baggage claim to my sister, got back on a plane, came to Johns Hopkins, because I wasn't going to play around with any other hospitals after being misdiagnosed. No. And at that point, when they said, you're going to be here for a year, maybe you'll get to see him a few times, and you have 25% chance of survival. I was baffled. And I'm like, how in the world? Like, I just did a triathlon. I'm fit. I thought that, I had a clean eating show, a segment about what to eat, not to get cancer. And then I realized, as I tell people, is bad things can still happen to you. But the genius of Armor Up, and what I say is that you have to prepare your body for illness. And thankfully, that's the one thing I had going. I may have laid the foundation through no sleep and chronic stress and landed myself there, but I showed up fit for the fight. And that made a difference.
So this is something that you've reemphasized time and time again on some of your live broadcasts and your video logs, is being prepared for illness. So a lot of us think about working out in terms of shedding a few pounds, fitting back into those old jeans, getting ready for the beach. But in reality, getting fit to that level is preparing you for an illness and getting through an illness. So are your chances better of getting through an illness the more fit you are?
Absolutely. I'm going to try to find a quote that I had from a speech I gave this morning at Pfizer. And there is so many studies that talk about the benefits of exercise that there's even a quote that came out that said if we could bottle it, it would be prescribed, demanded by patients, prescribed by cancer specialists all over the world, and subsidized by the government. It is so powerful. What my doctor told me is, listen, it doesn't mean you're going to survive. It's no guarantee you're going to survive, but you have 25% survival chances. And because you showed up fit, you're going to give yourself all 25. And he said, the problem is, I have patients who show up overweight with diabetes, with heart disease and other illnesses, and I have to tiptoe around those illnesses and water down their dose. He said, I can't give them what I have. The little bit that I do have, I have to cut the dose in half. And at that moment, he said, if you want to be positive about it, be thankful that you prepared. So my message to everyone is now when I speak, is I say that there's the 3 P's to armoring up for life, or the 3 P's to surviving illnesses: prepare, present, prevail. And that is, you have to prepare your body for illness. I mean, if you choose not to and you don't take an active role, it's going to prepare. It's not going to be good. So prepare your body for illness through diet, exercise. Think about the toxicity in your life, the stress in your life, what you eat, how you live your life. So you could present well to your medical team and they can say, hey, he or she can handle the most toxic, the most aggressive treatment we have available, and position yourself to prevail. So it's prepare yourself for illness so you could present well to your medical team and position yourself to prevail. And a lot of people aren't preparing their bodies, and that's a challenge for doctors.
That's a very interesting point. So, inevitably, at some point, unless we're super, super lucky, there will be some sort of illness that presents itself, especially recently with the coronavirus.
Right.
And folks that had to heal through that. So even, I guess, in our most healthy times, it's important to take that time to prepare.
Absolutely.
And continue to
Yes,
keep up that routine.
So many people who had heard my speech, I've given this speech so many times to executives, to yoga conventions, because it doesn't matter if you drink the Kool-Aid of working out, it's a wheel of success: diet, exercise, lifestyle. And it was more relevant than ever. And they'd reach out to me during the coronavirus and say, wow, this is what you're talking about. We have to get prepared. Like, if it's not COVID, if you escape COVID, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's heart disease. But how you prepare will determine how you present. And to your medical team, if it is COVID, what ailments are you going to show up with that's going to make it more difficult for you to fight? If it's cancer, how are you going to show up? Are you going to get this bag of chemo or this bag? So it really is relevant. If you escape COVID, amen. But it's not a matter of if something's going to happen to you. It's really a matter of when.
So I had no idea. I don't know, Coyote, if you knew that or not. I didn't know that doses of medication were based on what you could and couldn't handle, that were indirectly affected by what state of health you were in already.
Right. Depends on your comorbidities. Yeah, I've heard that before. So I had a mom that had stuff, had issues and went towards the end of her life, and you could tell they couldn't go full bore because of some of the issues she had. So yeah. Oh, yeah. And Loriana's right. I mean, you've got to get, and I'm taking notes. I don't ever take notes from people. And I'm literally taking notes this time because I had 2 hip replacements last year, and and I'm pretty strong. I walk a lot, and I'm overweight, but I do exercise, and I do try to keep a positive outlook and try not to work myself to death. And it's hard right now. I advocate for people who live in nursing homes, and so that's kind of ground zero for so much right now, and it's difficult because we can't go see them. We can talk to them on the phone or go to the windows, and that's about it. And so, yeah, you see what happens to these folks, and I'm like, that spurs me on to see people have to go to nursing homes. I'm like, I'm going to keep my legs healthy. I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to keep moving. And, but yeah, she's totally right. I mean, and she's lived it and she knows this, but yeah, you've got to, to arm yourself the best you can to deal with these things. And, Loriana, one thing I want to just circle back real quick. I'm going to turn it back to Sharla, but when you first start talking about when you're first diagnosed, you felt like you let people down because you were sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that just rang a bell with me right there. It's, wow. And so many people have that thought in their mind. That attitude is, oh my gosh, I'm sick, and how's it going to affect their? And I've let my family down. I've let my son down. I've let all my viewers down, which is totally nonsense.
Yeah,
That's not
like a
true.
burden. You feel one, I felt like a burden to my husband, who is amazing and my rock. But I thought, oh my gosh, how is this going to affect his career? If I'm in the hospital for a year, my mom's got to raise our son, and those wheels start spinning. And then I felt like a fraud. Like, what have I been telling people all my life about getting fit? Like, if I'm fit, how did I get cancer? But it took Johns Hopkins doctors when I said, listen, I'm going to either die of a broken heart or die of loneliness sitting here if you don't give me stories. So I started reporting from my bedside and really putting on my reporter hat. And when I started uncovering, and they would tell me that this is the message you need to get out, that you showed up fit, that you did everything you needed to do to fight illness. And so you're going to get all 25%. No guarantee you're going to get more than that, but at least you're giving yourself the best possible chance. And for me, that was like my eureka moment. It was the breaking news story, the biggest story really of my career. And think about it, and I'm like, wow, why didn't I think of that? The more fit you are, the more aggressive treat you. It sounds novel, but it was just such a big deal. And then he gave me a quote that I always share on a slide that says, "We can't kill you trying to save you." And I'll say it again, we can't kill you trying to save you. And he said, get that message out. And I get goosebumps when I say it, because he said, it really explains when they assess you and see how you present, they decide we can't kill this person trying to save them. How much can they physically handle? How much do we need to give them the whole dose, or do we have to cut back on the dose? Do they have comorbidities? Do they have other problems? And thankfully, they were able to save my life, push my limits. So whatever chemo they had scheduled to give me, they customized it and gave me more. I did 10 months of this chemo regimen, and then normally you either do that or the transplant. I ended up having both, which needed more chemo, but I was fit. Somebody else wouldn't have made it. And so I was never so thankful that I had gotten up every day and worked out. And today, every day, people say, oh, I need a gym partner. I'm like, listen, I just need to know I'm going to be alive and be healthy. I don't need anyone. I go walk and go exercise because I want to see tomorrow. And I want to know that if the other shoe drops, I'm ready. And I'm going to go in the ring ready.
That's one thing that sorry.
Go ahead.
That's one thing that I remember about your journey is you reporting from your bed, from the hallways of the hospital. I remember the images of you forcing yourself to get up and walk laps around the hospital. Your friend who was doing the dance with you.
Oh, yeah, you remember.
Walking through the hospital. It's like you went into full Loriana mode. And instead of just laying there and taking it, you were going to fight it the whole way, or you were going to do your best to move through it. And how important was the walking?
The walking is so
staying mentally fit as well.
Mentally fit. I had to, one thing I advocate for is because I worry about the health disparities, because I had a business background. I had that chop reporter mode. So I actually took out a dry erase board, gave myself a job. My job was surviving. And I had a schedule from 6 to 7 in the morning. I would walk for an hour. 7 to 8, I would research clinical trials. 8 to 9, I'd wait for the rounds to start with the doctors. And I had like a work day to keep myself busy. And it was really like my survival plan. And I try to tell people, like, you have to give yourself that job. And it really helped me survive by coming up with that. And that's what kept me busy and having hope. And then when I started reading about the power of exercise and what my doctor would tell me, and I would start knocking on doors and saying, you've got to get up out of bed. They're like, you can't go in people's rooms. It's HIPAA. And I said, oh, listen, if you...
Oh, you're one of those people. Okay.
But I would say you've got to get up, because one day in bed sets you back 4 days in muscle strength. And this, thinking of, when you're talking about seniors, they need to know these numbers. 1 day in bed sets you back 4 days in muscle strength. 4 days in bed sets you back an entire month. You cannot afford not to move. And what I learned is, and I'm not saying everyone can do this, I had to start turning down the painkillers and say, try more meditation. Even friends who donated to a GoFundMe, and I know not everyone's lucky enough to have friends who could do that, to be able to get Reiki or massage to help with my pain. Because once you take the pain meds, then you're a foggy, groggy version of yourself, and you can't. And the pneumonia can kill you before the cancer does. So you have to get up and you have to move. And I know, I lost so many friends, and it pains me. And I feel like I carry that burden, that survivor's guilt. And I'll always advocate for what they told, share their story, because there's a lot of people, as you mentioned, they can't share that they're going through cancer or going through chronic illness because they don't want to lose their job. And I was fortunate enough to have an amazing husband who could support us, even though we were going broke with me not working. And so I was able to help other people and get the message out that you need a support system. You need to wave the flag, and telling people you're at an offsite meeting is not the way of getting help. Like, you can't hide. Right. Some people have no choice but to hide behind their illness, and it broke my heart. But if you can ask for help, you need to.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, it's time for our next commercial break. And thank you. We're watching The Spirit Drum, and we'll be right back where Sharla's going to dive in some more, because I can see it in her eyes. She's ready to go. So, we have a wonderful guest tonight. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Amazing.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping.
The Armor Up campaign is a battle cry. It is a movement, and my goal is to get people moving, to get people ready. It's not about the skinny jeans.
This is about life. This is about watching your kids grow up. This, I feel great, is about survival.
Think about how to get your body in the best physical condition for any life-threatening illness that could come your way.
Are you physically prepared? I'm a mom, a wife, a journalist, and I spent all of 2014 separated from my then 2-year-old son 5 times in 1 year.
I give him a kiss. I say, I'll be right back. Mommy's going to the store. And the store meant I'll be back in 70 days.
And then I would get back into the ring for another fierce battle with leukemia.
Because every day I would wake up, somebody died on me, and I didn't want to be next.
A year of intense chemo, then a bone marrow transplant at Johns Hopkins.
Cancer wasn't supposed to happen to me. I was the clean eating, healthy, green drinking, yoga enthusiast, the runner. It wasn't supposed to happen to me, but it did.
I had my entire life planned down to a T.
No, I do the healthy, clean eating segments on Thursdays, and then Food Truck Fridays yours.
A great career at Fox News in Austin.
Says that all of the children of the Russian spies.
A fitness and health reporter.
Now push. There you go.
I spent days telling everyone else's story while getting them on the right path to better health and wellness. Until one day, I became the story.
And so when the tables were turned and I was told, you have cancer, I didn't know what to do.
My doctor said.
The term Armor Up came from my doctor saying, I said, I was so upbeat, oh, so when do I go home? He said, oh, honey, you have to put your armor on. You're going to be here for a year. A year? Are you kidding me? I've got a 2-year-old son. Cancer doesn't care.
Then I quickly learned I've been armoring up my entire life for this battle. And world-renowned oncologist Dr. Mark Levis said, what mattered most was I showed up fit to fight.
So when doctors sat me down and explained that each patient's dosing was based on his or her fitness level and their overall health, I was shocked.
I began to notice the chemo bags hanging around each patient's IV stand was a different dose.
I said to my doctor, I don't understand, why can't we all fight the same? And that's where he said, because you're not all the same. You all show up differently to this fight. If we can get everybody to show up fit to the fight, we could save so many more people.
In his words, quote, we have to tiptoe around too many diseases, and we have to adjust the dose if someone isn't fit. We can't kill them trying to save them.
Their hearts weren't strong enough to run chemo through it. Their blood pressure wasn't safe enough to push the limits. Their weight compounded the problem. I couldn't understand why anyone would want to half fight for his or her life. It was the light bulb moment that I said, from this point on, now I have to spread the message. I'm going to continue to be that reporter I used to be.
I had to get everyone to armor up to fight.
You might have your life plan and think this can't happen to you. I'll armor up another day.
Tomorrow, this could be your battle. The World Health Organization says 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will face some sort of cancer in his or her lifetime.
If that's not enough to make you put on your sneakers and hurry to the gym or go on a walk or go roller skating, go bike riding, go dancing, do something and just get moving and start cleaning out your fridge, I don't know what will. So next time your alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, get up and go to the gym. Why? Because you physically can, because you could put one foot in front of the other and you're not sick and you can take yourself there and work out. Don't you want the same chance that everybody else on that hall has? I don't know why you wouldn't.
What can you do? Change your life through diet and exercise. Improve your lifestyle. Get spiritually and financially fit for whatever may come your way.
Don't waste time, armor up. Make a commitment today to a healthier lifestyle. I just want to be healthy. I just want to be healthy. And if somebody, that's why I can't understand why somebody who has the perfect opportunity to go get fit doesn't take the time to do it.
Don't waste time. Armor up. Get involved. Sign up to become a bone marrow donor. Donate blood. Donate to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Save a life. ArmorUpCampaign.com.
Try again.
Oh, amazing.
It's watching that back. I remember being so emotionally involved in your story, which I thought was weird at the time because we hadn't seen each other in so many years. But your daily reporting from your bed drew me in, and I was watching this person that I had cared about in my youth, and watching that back just now, it really kind of dawned on me that there's a reason why I saw that day, and that reason is today, and we're sitting here today, and if one person can hear your story and benefit from it, I don't want to say that it makes it worth it because it's your journey, it's your story, but if one person can benefit from this, then that would make me very happy. And I feel blessed to have known you and to be your friend.
I feel so blessed. I feel like it was just yesterday that we saw each other, and it means so much. And when I talk about getting prepared, I've never stopped getting prepared. I didn't say I survived and it's over and I'm home and happy. On the 5th anniversary of surviving AML leukemia, we celebrated because that's a huge milestone, even though there's no official cure. And then we celebrated, then I was told I had breast cancer from the full body radiation. And just this year, I went through a double mastectomy in January, high risk, because having had leukemia, I don't have my own DNA. I have my sister's DNA, so I have 2 DNAs. So I'm like a mystery, which you might like that. You like mysteries. And I don't have my own DNA. I have rejected blood transfusions. I ended up in the hospital, 2 readmissions, 3 infections, 5 months of home health care. My husband had to learn how to pack a wound. And this year has been so trying. And I thought that was the trade-off. I mean, it does put it in perspective, because when the doctor told me this time, she had trouble finding the right words to say, you have cancer. And I'd already heard it twice because it came back during that 1 year when I was in the hospital. So it would be my 3rd time. And I said, let me just help you out. Go ahead and say it. Just tell me. And they said, you have cancer. And I said, well, if I'm not going to be separated from my son and I can fight at home and I don't have 25% chance, and I have a much greater chance. And there's nothing you can say that can bother me. I mean, I still went home in tears thinking, haven't I paid my dues? Like,
Yeah.
why am I? And I'm grateful I'm still living, but I felt like this is even more, gives me more purpose that I'm standing here to have faith over fear and really advocate for people. Because how much, well, I don't want to knock on wood and say how much more can I physically go through, because I don't need COVID. I don't need the
Right.
trifecta. But
Right.
it really was, a defining moment for me. And I'm so glad that when I got out of the hospital, I kept staying fit. I didn't just celebrate and say, well, now I'm going to eat whatever I want, and I made it, and give up on preparing my body, because we never know what's going to come next. It could be tomorrow, it could be next year, but we're all going to go through challenges in our lives. And it's not just about rehab from like knee surgery or back surgery. This is prehab, and you prehab every day with the decisions and choices you make. I'm scared to miss sleep, and I'm scared to miss a walk or workout.
When you talk about prehabbing, you're in a constant state of having.
Yes,
I
like that.
And now you're just like in a permanent state of having. How devastating was that second, or actually that third blow, and how do you stay mentally fit? Because I'm convinced after watching so many of my friends and family going through it, how do you stay so mentally fit?
Well, I'll say that I don't feel mentally fit. I have PTSD, like severe PTSD, and it affects so many decisions I make. And it's been hard sometimes even on our marriage, because my husband was like, oh, we want to go to this concert. This is pre-COVID. We want to do this. And I'm like, I can't. What if we die? What if this happened? It really haunts me and changes every decision I make.
Mm-hmm.
So the psycho-oncology side, that is a big void in the cancer space, really has impacted me and left me with so many like emotional traumas. So I do my best to cope, but I know when I got through the transplant, I got home, and then my husband's job got moved here to Philly when we were in Virginia. I couldn't go because of my health. There's no like reintegration toolkit like military would give veterans. I was so lost. I was broken. I didn't know how to get my professional career back up. And I went from fighting for my life to wanting to take my own life. And so it has not been easy. The only thing that has really kept me here is my husband and son. They're upstairs, probably falling asleep. And knowing that I can advocate, and it's given me purpose and a reason to not give up, because there's been so many times I wanted to say, you know what, I'm done. But talking to you guys tonight, knowing if we can change a life and save a life, then it gives me reason to be here on this earth and speak for those who aren't as privileged to be alive right now.
And if any of our viewers would like to know where to find you and to follow your journey, how do they follow?
Well, they can find me on armorupforlife.org. Since that video, I saw the video and I'm like, oh, I need to change the end graphic. It's now an official nonprofit 501c3. And so it's now armorupforlife.org. And so they can find me through that website. They can also find me on social media or LinkedIn. And right now we are building our board. I've done a lot of advocacy with hospitals in the Virginia area, and now I'm hoping to do more so with going out and doing events when my health permits. But for now, I do a lot of advocacy. I'm on a steering committee with Pfizer to help advocate and make the path better for cancer patients. I'm speaking to hospitals like Johns Hopkins nurse retreats and speak to people about preparing their bodies for illness, whether it's talking to executives. Whatever I can do to save a life, to give me purpose, is what I'm out there doing. But people can find me on different channels of social media. I would love to connect, or if I can speak and save a life, that would be great. Or if eventually we have shirts people can get when they make a donation, and it's just, we can outfit more cancer patients with fitness gear. I'm working to get that back up. So there's a lot of ways to find me.
Now, how important was your faith throughout this?
Wow. My faith was everything. because I had to put faith over fear. I would cry every night for my son, and he would cry for me, and he was lost. I mean, when I got to reunite with him after the first time, I don't know, it may have been 60, 70, I don't know how many days, but he walked past me like for the first time, like we never met. And I would tell them, just let me see my son. Let me see him. And they told me, you have to either, if we let you, you're neutropenic, which means you have no counts to fight infection. If we let you see him, it's short-term gratification. You'll get to see him, but then he could kill you. Or you can have faith over fear and hold out the rest of the year and see him just a few times, 3 times throughout the year for brief moments. And then you can, have him long-term. And for me, I had to, that's why I had to keep myself busy, because I wanted to see him so bad. And I was really thought it wasn't cancer that was going to kill me, but a broken heart. And so I had to put faith over fear, because what else is going to make me sit there for a whole year and stare at those walls in the hospital, hooked up to an IV, not knowing, and losing friends one by one on the hall.
Mm-hmm.
So I prayed and walked. I prayed. I would FaceTime with friends who were really good at prayer. I always, people say that you can pray and you don't have to be good or bad, but I have some friends. I have a friend named Todd Wallace. If he's listening, he would call me all the time on FaceTime, a former co-anchor of mine from Dallas, and pray with me. It would seem like daily. So I would pray, friends would call and pray with me, and it really got me through.
Isn't it amazing how some people are just really good at prayer?
Well, we've got one more commercial break to go, ladies, and then we're going to be back for our last segment. You're watching The Spirit Drum, and we'll be right back.
Do you feel lost in life? Do you seem to be stuck in emotions that are not yours? Is your home not the sanctuary it should be? Contact Spirit Mechanics, where they take a team approach to your metaphysical and spiritual problems. Spirit Mechanics specializes in aura cleansing, stone attunement, attachment removal, and house cleansings. Spirit Mechanics tailors their approach to your individual spiritual path and needs. Now find them monthly at the Central Kentucky Mystical Market in Lexington. Or on Facebook by searching Spirit Mechanics, that's MECHANIX. Spirit Mechanics, for your spiritual health and well-being.
Coyote Chris Sutton.
Shamanism.
Spiritual advisement.
Paranormal investigations.
Inspirational presentations.
Bringing light to the darkest places for over 20 years. Go to coyotechris.com to learn more.
And we're back on The Spirit Drum. Now, this is the part I kind of wanted to get to. Now, like I said, I've known Sharla for 2 or 3 years now. And I don't know, maybe, I don't know, it's weird because I can't really define what was the first time we started talking and stuff like that. But, and I've seen little things about her, and from her previous, when she was younger, I saw a Facebook posting with her with a basketball team from high school and stuff like that. So, but, I'm kind of curious here. So you guys are buds, and like we were talking, you drift apart, and people do that. You have different goals in life, different things happen. One person moves away, and it happens. I mean, I've got lots of people, friends like that, and then you reconnect later on with a reunion or something like that. But you two seem to have a different kind of. There's almost like a spiritual agenda here about you reuniting, and I think part of it's for Loriana to be on with us. And I want to tell you something, Loriana. I had a list of guests that I wanted on the show. And I said, who do you want? And I said, I've always got tons of ideas. But I said, who do you want? Who do you really want to have on? Give me a list of people. You were the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Very first one. Yes. And so I want to hear, what were you guys, let's talk about high school and maybe why you're back together now.
She might have more memory. I mean, I will say that when you go through cancer, or I'm sure other illnesses too, I had some people that I was in awe that disappeared from my life. They didn't know how to handle my possible mortality. And I was in awe of some of the people that just disappeared. And I would text them and say, "Where are you? I'm dying." And then you have angels come that you hadn't talked to in 15 or 20 years, like Sharla, who come out of nowhere. And then, so I would say you'd lose some and then you gain a ton. Like, so I've gained perspective and I've gained angels, and Sharla's been one of them. And I'm so glad. And it goes to speak for the connection from our friendship, and also the kindness and compassion of her heart. The fact that she would reach out to me. So that speaks volumes about the people in your circle. And it's the same thing that happened with both cancers. Some people disappeared from my life for a while, and now I see them. They're like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, nothing's happened. Like, don't worry, I just had a double mastectomy, but
yeah,
how you doing?
it's all good.
They disappear and then they come back when your problems are gone. But then you have friends who you haven't talked to in 20 years, like Sharla, and you just connect because you've had that bond. And Sharla, has a heart of gold. She's amazing.
Yeah, she
and
is.
it just picked up where we left off, like old high school friends.
Yeah. It was funny because I was thinking about this yesterday in preparation for today. And one of the things that I remember most about you and being with you in high school is that we were always laughing. There was always laughter. There was always laughter. There was always music. There was always some sort of dance. Lori was a cheerleader. I was a basketball player. Two different spaces on the bus. But we, that bus would unload and, we would be off to do something. We just always had fun. And it reminds me of a simpler time in life and a carefree time in life. And I think as we get older and life presents us with various problems and challenges, sometimes going back to those simpler times is a nice little escape. And when you can reconnect with somebody that inspires that in your heart, it changes your energy, it changes your mood, it changes your world. And just being able to spread a little bit of positivity and connect with someone who also gives you positivity is worth its weight in gold. With everything that's going on in the world right now, injustice and marginalization, all of it. When you can find that one moment of happiness and peace and genuine joy, I just say exploit the heck out of it. And be that for somebody else. You inspire me. You inspired me through my mother's cancer, and you probably didn't even know that.
No,
but
I didn't even know.
The things that you told me were things that I had mentioned to her, and things that I watched. And I watched my mother just sail through it I'm sure that it wasn't easy for her. But I watched her rise to the challenge, and I watched her. She had that. There's a fighting spirit and a hope and a quest to keep moving, putting one step in front of the other that you had, that I watched her have. And I just find it very inspiring. And I think the 4 things that I got from tonight that I just wanted to reemphasize for our guests and the folks who are watching tonight is prepare, present, prevail. The 3 Ps of successfully moving through illness, right? And keep moving. Stay out of bed. 1 day in bed is equal to 4 days of muscle strength loss. 4 days is equal to a month. Don't forget to prehab. Always be prepping your body for illness, for what may lie ahead, whether it be in the immediate future or years down the road, and have faith over fear. So if there are 4 things that you can take away from Loriana's story tonight, I hope it's those 4 things. And also go to armorupforlife.org and make a donation if you can. It will come back to you in ways that you never expected.
I don't know if we're out of time, but interesting enough, I volunteered a lot throughout my career, and I fundraised for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and helped raise money. I ran a team and training marathon. And when you're going through that, you think it's just a great cause, and it was just something we did. I would find good causes and help them. And you never know until you become the story. And so when I look back, I thought, wow, all that good I put out into the world came back. Because when I was diagnosed, I didn't know what a blood cancer was. I'm like, oh, I'd raise money for that. So I always say to people, when you help organizations, you never know if the money you're donating is going to help you or a loved one tomorrow. Like my story will be your story. So it's always good to think about that. Whatever the cause is, whatever you're passionate about, it could be your story. And you could be funding your own fight.
Absolutely. So if there's one thing that you learned about the healthcare system that you think people should know if they're facing a hospital stay or any of their loved ones are facing that.
Yeah, well, I say that we have a problem that the healthcare operates in silos and patients don't heal in silos. And I found that out so many times that everyone says that in addition, I should have a fourth P. It's not prepare, present, prevail. It should be, the fourth one should be pain in the ass. Can I say? Because you have to advocate for yourself. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, the doctor, the breast cancer oncologist said, you should have a lumpectomy and clear the margins of have 20 days of radiation. I said, I'm going to talk to my leukemia doctor. Why didn't you two talk? And the leukemia doctor says, you can't have radiation. You've had full body radiation. You have no choice but to get a double mastectomy. Had I not connected them, I would have been down the path with a doctor who wanted me to have a lumpectomy and radiation that I couldn't have had. So here they operate and everyone stays in their own lanes. So my message to people is, sadly, you will have to connect the dots. You will have to have that fourth P of being a pain in the ass to make doctors talk to each other, because you are a whole patient with real life problems, and one problem is dependent on the other. Like, you may not have, I couldn't have a lumpectomy and radiation because of my history. So what health issue do you have as baggage that could impact the treatment you're going to get today or tomorrow? So you have to advocate and ask questions and push for answers.
And that's important. That's important. A lot of times I think as patients and having been a patient at one point in time in my life, you expect that information to come to you. You don't expect to have to seek it out. And you just assume that everything is set up correctly and that you're going to receive what you need.
You think they would talk to each other. I'm like, you're in a world-renowned institution, talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me, but it is common that everyone operates in silos, and then they forget that one side effect of the chemo or the treatment is it can cause a secondary cancer. So that was the gift that I got that kept on giving, was from the full body radiation. I got a secondary cancer. So these doctors need to talk, because treatment for one can cause cancer for the other. So we're all in this world together. When we fundraise and raise money for one cancer, it often can help other cancers. But it just frustrates me how everyone stays in their own lane, and we have to start communicating. They do, and we do.
So Coyote, being in long-term care, do you see the effects of that as well?
Oh, sure. Now I could do a whole show on this, so it's hard just to get into it. But yeah, I mean, it depends so much about the quality of care, the facility you're in, who's looking after you. I mean, it takes so many people to make sure that somebody who's in a long-term care situation gets what they need. And the system is broken. It's on so many levels, and it's hard to watch. I will, Ryan, you're correct. You got to be a pain in the ass to be an advocate. You have to be a pain in the ass to make change, and that's how it works. And I know I've been doing this stuff for years, and you just can't say, oh, okay. No, you got to say, hey, this is the way it is, or hey, I want this, because people will not take what they deserve.
What if you can't do that for yourself?
That's what I'm trying to build with Armor Up for Life, that we are building a network. We have an Armor Up for Life Facebook page, but now we're building a network where I have so many people contact me or other volunteers of having them help navigate the system. And so eventually with funding, if anyone's listening and want to help fund it, we're trying to build that network so we can help be the pain in the ass for them and advocate for them, because I can't do it alone. And there's so much advice and so much help to connect the dots for patients. And not everyone can do it. And there's the health disparities, and it breaks my heart. I was a reporter for more than 20 years. I could call up all kinds of medical experts to fight on my behalf, or just to ask them on a Sunday, what should I do? But not everyone has that. And that's not right. That it shouldn't be whoever has the most contacts in their phone has a better chance of survival.
Right.
So
And
I'm
that's why-
trying to bridge that gap with Arm Up for Life, because that is the part that's broken.
If I could ever be of any assistance in my career, with what I do, then I would certainly be there, to help anybody out in that situation. So please realize that. We're about at the end of the hour.
Darn.
And Cheryl, I know. Cheryl, let me let you finish it. I want to say one thing though. Loriana, one of the things that I love about doing this show is meeting people like you. And it's just so much more. I hope it was fun. It's fun for you because it's so much fun for us to listen to people like you who are very spiritual and are fighting, and everybody's fighting things that are working on change at different levels. And it's just amazing. It's such a blessing to be able to come on here and to listen to you. You are fantastic. And I will, if there's anything I ever do, my heart and my mind and somewhat my wallet will be there. So,
Well,
yeah, I really appreciate you being on.
A privilege to be alive, and a privilege and honor to be on your show with both of you. Just because it's an honor to be able to share my story and make an impact to help save a life and change lives.
And if that investor is out there right now, which I know you are,
yes.
So whoever you are, this is your chance and this is your opportunity to make a difference and to fund this project, fundarmorupforlife.org. And this patient advocacy piece is huge. It's definitely something that's missing. It's definitely something that anyone who has ever stayed in the hospital or had a loved one stay in the hospital, the importance of it. So contact Loriana ASAP and fund this program.
Absolutely. We also have where we have outfitted cancer patients with fitness gear so they can meet the medicine halfway and become their own hero. So there's so many components to this. And if you're an investor and you want to help out, you can call me right now.
Lines are open.
Lines are on. They're open.
Oh gosh.
Well, Loriana, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I miss you. I'm sending you the hug emoji.
Yeah.
And
that's our favorite emoji.
I can't wait to see you in person eventually.
Yes, and we'll talk soon, like tomorrow.
And thank your family for sharing you with us tonight.
Thank you. Hugs and kisses to both of you.
Thanks everybody for watching. This has been the Spirit Drum, and we'll see you next month.
C-sa-c-m, 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 yatch-cow-hi, 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 yatch-cow-hi.